The first ending, titled Beautiful Cruel World, is an obvious introspection of Mikasa Akumen. Starts off with a dreamlike and peaceful backdrop of planets, comets, and stars, but is followed by a soaring knife falling through the air. The frame then transitions to a forest where we see a nervous Mikasa running and stopping in front of bloody knives laying on the ground. If you've watched past episode 6, you would know that the knife symbolizes the most tragic event in Mikasa's life, the day her parents were murdered by human traffickers. The knife coming into frame is in direct contrast with the space scenery. The knife symbolizes death, murder, and more importantly, the loss of her innocence. The dreamlike backdrop of space symbolizes the blissful life Mikasa had with her family before it all happened. A loss of innocence is often seen as an integral part of coming of age, an experience that leads to a greater awareness of evil, pain, and suffering in the world around us. In the next shot, we see a second Mikasa holding a knife in her hand. If you compare with the previous frame, she's seen taking a step back in fear, while the one holding the knife is standing firmly and gripping the knife tightly, symbolizing her newfound assertiveness and awareness of evil that needs to be confronted. As the frame moves up to her face, we see the scarf fully covering her eyes, which is reminiscent of how Eren wrapped it around her for the first time. As the scarf comes off, we see an older Mikasa unveiled, which again refers to the theme of loss of innocence. Innocence is often the line that distinguishes children from adults, which is why we see Mikasa grow into her mature self. For Mikasa, this red scarf represents her bond with Eren, who gifted it to her when she was at her lowest point in life and when she felt cold, both physically and psychologically. A scarf is meant to be worn for warmth, and it comforted her in both senses, which is why it became such an important and comforting item for her as we see her wearing that red scarf throughout the show. The scarf being the item that unveils her eyes and coinciding with the timing of her growing into adulthood can be interpreted as Eren opening up her eyes to the beautiful, cruel world, hence the title. Eren was the one that saved her, but also the one to remind her of how cruel the world can be, as they both had to kill for their survival. But to be able to offer her a normal family life after these atrocities is proof that the world can also be beautiful. It was at that moment that Mikasa decided to follow Eren for the rest of her life, hence the two birds flying, one following after the other.
In this beautiful and cruel world, we only ask why we're still alive. What are we going to protect with our strength and weakness if reason no longer exists?
For Mikasa, Eren became her home, her reason to live, and that's why we see Eren coming into the picture at the end of the song. Akuma No Ko, translated as Child of Evil, shares apparent similarities with the first ending. The knife, the red scarf, the camera angles, the characters growing out of their younger selves, and the monochromatic colors. But this time, it is an introspection of Eren.
An iron bullet is proof of justice. Whenever I shot, I became closer to the hero. If you close your eyes and touch it, the evil who has the same body and the same temperature.
The first verse calls out the hypocrisy of Marlians. How can they commit mass murder on Eldians and still call themselves heroes while calling Eldians the evil ones? If Eldians are evil, then so are Marlians, as we are all one and the same, as the last line suggests.
Am I not good enough, and is he better for you? There was just a wall. Don't cry about the destiny we were born with, because we are all free.
The second verse reiterates that Eldians and Marlians are no different. Eren is not complaining about his destiny because he believes that everyone is born free, his ultimate value. The title Child of Evil refers to Aaron's life being a repercussion of the evil that was bestowed upon him, similar to how the term Children of War refers to children being born during wartime and having their entire lives revolve around it and shaped by it. Aaron's life was shaped by the evil of this world. The first thing that jumps to the eye in the first few seconds of this ending is that there are 4 distinct things that were intentionally colored and going against the monochromatic color scheme: Aaron's eyes, the scarf, the knife, and the flowers. Aaron's eyes were colored to bring attention to his determination, an important character trait of Aaron during the show. Unlike Mikasa, who was nervous and running scared in the first ending, Aaron is staring right at us, fierce and unwavering. His eyes are filled with determination and combativeness. The knife represents the same event as Mikasa, and similar to her, it was the first time Aaron had killed someone. But rather than symbolizing the loss of innocence, this event emphasized the need to fight for his freedom. From Aaron's perspective, the kidnappers were not human beings but animals. There was no regret or doubt coming from Aaron, only determination and a will to fight for survival. What's amazing is that all of this is conveyed in the first few frames of this ending. Onto the flowers, they can symbolize many different things in literature, but in this context, I'd say that they symbolize beauty and innocence. As the blood taints the flower, we are brought back to the theme of Mikasa, the loss of innocence. The blood can also depict how cruelty taints our beautiful world. The scarf represents the bond between Aaron and Mikasa, and as it transforms into a bird and flies away, we can presume that it signifies the freedom that Aaron granted Mikasa when he saved her from the traffickers. As the bird flies higher and higher, we see the beautiful night sky and the stars shining brightly, reminiscent of the opening frames from Mikasa's ending. In that case, the scenery was referencing Mikasa's peaceful life before the tragic event. For Aaron, it symbolized his picture-perfect world where he and everyone he loves is free, until a birdcage starts forming, halting its freedom, which kills it as a result. A metaphor for Aaron's need for freedom to feel alive. After Mikasa was rescued by Aaron and started living with him and his parents, they had become her new home and her reason to live. Consequently, Mikasa became Aaron's home. The freedom that Aaron is so willing to sacrifice everything for is only valuable to him if it means that Paradise Island, his friends, and Mikasa are safe and free. They are his home, hence the lyrics.
If we have wings like birds, we could go anywhere. If we don't have a place to return to, we might not be able to go anywhere.
Freedom would be pointless without the people he cares the most. As the song readies itself for its chorus, the birdcage disappears, and as it disappears, Aaron's world goes from a dark and confined space to an open and colorful world free of any restraints. We see Aaron smile for the first time in a long time, and it is the most poignant moment for me from this ending. The colorful landscape, the direct expression of love from the lyrics, and the smile from Aaron. Having all of it come together is truly touching, especially since we very rarely see Aaron being sincerely joyful throughout the entire story. Freedom is Aaron's ultimate goal, and he has always believed that attaining it would be the key to his happiness, and here we see what a joyful Aaron would look like.
This world is cruel, but I still love you.
These words hit like a ton of bricks, not only because it is a clear reference to Mikasa's theme, but because a direct expression of love like this one, coming from Aaron, is never before seen. As these words are sung by Higuchi, we are brought back to some of the major locations of the series as abandoned ruins. Although the buildings and places are destroyed, they are still portrayed as beautiful landscapes overtaken by nature because to Aaron, their sacrifices were worthwhile, hence the beauty of it. If we go back in time, these were all important places where sacrifices had to be made. Whether they were human ones or material ones, all those events required sacrifices to attain the goals set at the time, hence why they are shown during this part of the song. Aaron is willing to sacrifice literally everything, including the rest of the world, to protect the ones he loves the most, the so-called devils of Paradise Island. What we see next is Aaron as an adult, who tramples on the flowers with a cold expression, a complete 180-degree turn from his younger, innocent self, who was overwhelmed by the beauty of the world. but also naive about the freedom that he was pursuing. As he matures and learns about the reality of the outside world, he also learns about its cruelty, just like Mikasa. One beautiful detail in this ending is how Eren never once looks back. He keeps walking forward until the very end, as he likes to repeat so often. Whether it was his younger self or his adult one, he has always been determined to move forward and to wipe away all his obstacles. He's always had this mindset ever since he was born, as he puts it to Zeke in episode 79. The last shot of the ending shows Eren vanishing as he turns back to the beautiful world free of restraints that he sacrificed his entire life for, symbolizing how Eren was allowed to stop moving forward only when his goal was achieved, only when freedom was achieved. I hope you enjoyed this little ending theme comparison. I thought I'd try something different just for fun, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.